welcome to another deep dive into Severance. Today we are looking into the mysterious board of Lumon Industries that only makes itself available to others over a speakerphone. The creators of Severance have made it their business to top up the littlest of things with so much mystery that here we are, digging into the story of a board that we never see, and whose larger plans for Lumon also remain a big question mark. In this video, we will explore everything we know about this board, and also some of the things we don't definitely know, such as who the board members are, why their faces are never shown, is it an AI system, or someone we least expect. But before we get in, a small request, please do support our content by subscribing. It's a small click for you, but it means a lot to us. Thank you so much. Let's get down to it. Lumon Industries. The Unseen Board. Like any other board of directors, the board at Lumon are responsible for envisioning the larger plans of the multinational biotech company headed by Jame Eagan. But this board that is alluded to pretty often in Severance is unlike the traditional bunch we would imagine. The nice long table with a group of experienced gray-haired suits discussing the company's future. Well, for one, we never really get to see the Lumon board at like a board meeting or something like that. The only times we have got a look at something related to the board, it has been via a speakerphone. In the first season, Harmony Cabal as well as Milchick seemed to be doing the board's bidding, after connecting with them through the speakerphone, which is affixed in the manager's office. But in the second season, we have also seen Natalie going around with a speakerphone. She wears an earphone in which she hears the commands of the board, and she passes this information forth to whomever the board wishes to communicate with. We've also never heard of any member of the board speak, with the exception of the one time in Season 1 when we heard a male voice saying, "yes," a brief word that could easily have been mechanized. The Lumon board has never been seen to have a personal conversation with its workers. Even Harmony Cabal and Milchick have never shown any signs of truly knowing who sits on the Lumon's board. All this has served to heighten the mystery surrounding the board. The distance between the board and the people at Lumon could be a way for the board to maintain their all-pervasive control. Everything inside Lumon is built to control the people into becoming the perfect workers. And this distance strategy works. The board doesn't feel like a bunch of people even a higher executive staffer could just go have a conversation about something with. Conversely, they feel like the authority whose word is to be obeyed without question. The Lumon board doesn't even feel like a human team. It's poised like a higher power hovering over the Lumon employees. The board appears to separate itself from the living members of the Eagan family. Jame and Helena leading the executive functions for Lumon, but there has never been a mention of either of them being on the board. In one of the episodes in Season 2, Helena conducted a meeting with Milchick to manage the overtime contingency activation debacle that the last season had left us at. In this meeting, Helena had a man called Drummond alongside her, who spoke about the board's position to insert Helly back into the severed floor. It felt as though he too was a mouthpiece for the board, carrying out the board's directives. Drummond was also seen spying on Mark at Pips. Since the OTC fiasco, Helena is always seen flanked by a suited guy, like Drummond. When Harmony Cabal had approached her outside the Lumon office asking to be reinstated as floor manager, there was another intimidating-looking guy with Helena. Helena told Cabal that she would summon the board and, Harmony and her can talk to them together. Now, it was a little surprising that the board could be called together at the drop of the hat like that. But it could have been just a bluff to get Cabal inside. Who knows, maybe they planned on jacking her. There was something else though, that struck me even more. Cabal was totally spooked out by the guy behind Helena. She turned around, got into her little car, and stormed off. I think the security around Helena right now have been assigned by the board, as they do not trust her fully after her innie went berserk in Season 1's finale. This not only shows us that the board has its own staff that it sends through to handle things, but, it also implies that the board wields supreme power over everyone at Lumon. It even controls the direct successor to the Eagan leadership, which is basically what Helena is. It is safe to presume that the board is the ultimate whip around Lumon. Alright, so now let's get into the best theories that beg to explain the enigmatic entity that is the board. Let us kick things off with the usual suspects. the collective consciousness of the former Eagan CEOs. Lumon has always had an Eager in charge. From the very first person, Kier Eagan, who gave Lumon its legs and then passed it down to his son, Ambrose Eagan, the reins of the company have remained within the family. With the power always remaining with an Eagan, I just cannot imagine the construct of the company constitution even allowing non-Eagans to sit on the board. So, if it is Eagans occupying the board, we can only assume it is some other Kier venerating family members that we have not been introduced to yet. But if we are to think outside the box, which the fans have been doing for a minute, it's Severance after all. Bizarre is the new normal here. So, check this. The board is the collective consciousness of all the past CEOs that Lumon has had since its conception. Now, Lumon is in the business of brain chips, so it isn't far-fetched to see the CEOs transferring their consciousness into tiny chips before kicking the bucket. These chips could then be planted within a robotic system or even a human brain that is wiped clean, such as Miss Casey. And voila, you've got yourself a brand new, wise and experienced Eagan to run the show. So, the previous CEOs whose statues stand proudly in the Perpetuity Wing, Kier, Myrtle, Baird, Gerhard, Pip, and Leonora, could all be the sitting board members for Lumon right now. We'll leave Ambrose out though. I don't think Kier's consciousness was too keen on his work ethic to grant him immortality like that. In fact, the name Perpetuity Wing could be referring to the permanence the former Lumon CEOs have achieved with their consciousnesses forever running the board. Weirdly enough, I think this is what Jame could have been referring to when he told Helena that one day she would sit with him at his revolving. Maybe he meant he was going to lend his consciousness to be preserved, and in this way, he would sit at the round table of the Lumon board for all eternity. It makes sense, right? Or maybe not, because the other raging theory is that the board is basically an extension of Kier's consciousness alone. The board is Kier's consciousness. This theory is very similar to the first, in that Kier downloaded his consciousness onto a revolutionary device he had invented in the early 20th century. He did this on his deathbed and immortalized himself as the eternal crown of Lumon. This theory rests on the cult of Kier that exists within Lumon, but it's also in direct conflict with the most speculated greater purpose of Lumon. Many have theorized that Lumon is doing everything it can to reprise Kier Eagan's soul. If Kier's consciousness was indeed working through a device or an AI with a memory chip, Lumon doesn't need to reprise Kier per se, right? Well, this theory aside, the board being Kier's consciousness has got something to do with it. Given the Kier way and worship that thrives among his descendants, and within Lumon's entire existence, it could well be that it is Kier's consciousness that has been steering Lumon this entire time. Okay, so the long-gone Eagan sitting on the Lumon board with the help of some mind-blowing tech is one thing, but there are some other theories on the board which are quite interesting, and I personally rock with the one about Jame Eagan. Jame Eagan as a member of the board. Jame could well be a part of the Lumon board. Even in our world, a place that is much simpler than the Severance verse, at least on the surface, company CEOs are often on the board of directors, so as to provide the directors with vital inputs from the day-to-day handling of the business. So Jame being a part of the board isn't that big a leap. Jame has been a very strange and mysterious old guy in the series so far. In a way, he embodies the same odd mystique the board has been synonymous with. First off, we rarely see him, and when we do, it's always with a distinct occultist feel. He always floats in with something of an esoteric air. To me, he's like the personification of the board. Secondly, there is a scene in the series that corroborates this theory. It is the time that Jame met Helena in the aftermath of the overtime contingency activation drama. He was justifiably enraged with Helly's actions, and when he met Helena, he called her a fetid moppet. That's it, 2 words and he was out. Jame was in a rush, and I'm assuming the stopover to see Helena was merely to let his frustration out before he went to meet the board and discuss damage control. Another thing of note here is that Jame certainly did not want to discuss the situation any further with Helena. In fact, in his new interactions with Helena, we have never seen him discuss any Lumon plans with her. It's more like Helena is following the decisions that have already been made by the board. Jame merely keeps her in line like a good little Eagan, showering her with his pride when she goes with a plan and admonishing her when she steps out of bounds. That is why I've always felt that Helena is not part of the board. Even though she does have considerable authority in the company's executive arm, it feels as though she is being ushered down a path not of her making. I guess we will find out more about Helena's role as Season 2 progresses. Jame, however, is most likely to be on the board, which could comprise of other experienced Kier worshippers of the Eagan lineage. Or it could be even just Jame, all alone, acting as the board. Artificial intelligence running the board. Some fans have speculated that Lumon is being run by an AI program. Lumon has been dealing in mind-controlling biotechnology, and this theory suggests that using Lumon's tools, an AI system was made to act as the Lumon board at some point in the company's history. We have come a fair way since then, and at the present time, AI controls all of Lumon. This AI is currently perfecting Severance chips with a greater goal of taking over the whole world. But, this theory feels too much like a Matrix origin story. Same product, different packaging type thing. And I really hope the creators are not using this approach. Hopefully they've got something more original in mind for us. Okay, onward to another crazy theory. Milchick as a member of the board. A new take, which has only just begun doing rounds of the fandom, is Milchick being on the board. This theory was spurred by an incident in episode 3 of the running season titled, Who is Alive? Natalie walks into Milchick's office as the board's proxy and tells Milchick that the board wants him on the line. She then gives him a gift of several paintings the board had got done for him. These paintings appear to be a standard gift for employees showing exceptional loyalty. The paintings are a representation of the employee as Kier going through the same experiences Kier did. Now, after the call with the board ended, Milchick had a moment with Natalie. He looked at her with dead seriousness, and she just looked back at him nervously. The theory is that the board is a group of fervent Kier followers, and Milchick is chairing them. He works as an employee on the severed floor as he wants to be in the thick of things, but he has secretly been running the show. It sounds so like a cool way for the series to go, but, I'm not so sure this is happening, though. It's just something about the way Milchick reacts to situations. The way he gets agitated when Cabal's name hasn't been removed from the manager's desktop. Even the way Milchick reacted to the painting sent to him by the quote-unquote board. He didn't put any one of those on his wall. Instead, he packed them up and stacked them away in his storage. So much for the Kier reverence, right? I do believe that we haven't uncovered Milchick's true motives behind working for Lumon yet. But he doesn't seem like the one at the wheel, as of now. But listen, if you think it's been Milchick all along, tell me which instances from the show make you believe that. Marvelous verdict. Lumon Industries appears to be headquartered in the city of Kier, but they are running operations in 206 countries worldwide. Yes, that is more countries than what we have right now, and we have covered this anomaly quite a few times in previous videos. The point is that Lumon is a corporation with a global spread, but the board appears to be involved with every single detail in the office in the city of Kier. So much so that we can say that the board's interests are centered here. This could be because of Cold Harbor and how close the Miss Casey case is to providing Lumon with a breakthrough. But, our take is that it is because of Gemma and Mark's past together that Cold Harbor has been so successful. This theory is explained in our Mystery of Gemma and Miss Casey video. If you're looking for some insight into the board's larger plans, this video is a great one to check out. But as far as who's pulling the strings and making the grand decisions, the jury is still out. Jame Eagan would be the easiest choice to play the chair, but easy, simple, ordinary, etc., are not the words that describe Ben Stiller's style at all. So, dear viewers, what is your take on who sits behind that speakerphone? Let us know. That's all the dish we've got on the board today. If you like this video, please smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Much appreciated. Take care now.